First of all, there weren't any working drawings. There weren't any drawings of any kind to guide the designer. But perhaps more importantly, there just weren't the craft skills, the woodworking skills around. There didn't seem to be those skills to implement the design once it had been made. The skills just weren't there.
Almost undetected, the crafts of past centuries had vanished.
During the colonial age, Western countries, especially European countries, started to export to Islamic countries, Muslim countries, Western factory-made goods. And that destroyed the traditional guild system. And that in turn weakened the traditional crafts and guilds and arts and removed their socio-economic function in society. Of course, their spiritual function was still vibrant, but their socio-economic function in society was removed, so that the guilds were gradually decimated.
This realization came as something of a shock, a wake-up call. Had the world really allowed priceless knowledge and skills developed over centuries to simply slip away? It was an alarming possibility, yet the picture wasn't entirely gloomy. There were signs that the neglect of ancient skills had been noticed and was beginning to be reversed. What was unexpected was where this was happening. In Shoreditch, in the East End of London, a new school had been set up, inspired by Professor Keith Critchlow's pioneering work at the Royal College of Art. Its remit was to teach and foster the knowledge and skills of traditional Islamic and Eastern arts. If the location for this enterprise was surprising, equally so was the identity of its founder and supporter, the future head of the Church of England, the Prince of Wales.
When I saw the flower, all these parts were actually there. Yes. So,
Then it's a yes, I see. One of the reasons I was so keen to find a way of achieving this school was because I felt there was such a terrible danger of losing all the precious wisdom and the knowledge and understanding of where so many of the great traditional crafts and forms of art had come from, and architecture indeed. And we were in real danger of losing these very precious understandings.
Although the school teaches a range of traditional arts, its work does have a special emphasis.
It is fundamentally important that the school preserves the crafts of and the heritage of the Islamic world, because we believe that these have been disappearing at such a fast rate over the last few years. We have students from all over the world, from different cultural backgrounds, who come in to study this idea and to find a contemporary expression, which in a way is extending these traditions into the contemporary world.
The school teaches the principles on which traditional design is based, but it doesn't stop with theory. Students here are taught crafts, carefully learnt skills that have been handed down over generations.
The importance of preserving the craft is actually much more fundamental than just preserving techniques of making beautiful objects. It's about understanding a universal principle. It is a language which links us to the natural order of being. Craftsmanship from all over the world, whether it's from the Hindu tradition, the Muslim or the Christian tradition, has always understood that to create beauty in the world, it has to work on a level of inspiration. There is a sense of divine inspiration which expresses itself in the order of nature around us in the natural world.
Nature is itself governed by mathematical rules, from the symmetry of a cut apple to the structure of a crystal. The language of geometry is all around us, and there's a widespread sense that mathematics, and geometry in particular, is the language of the Creator.
Drawing of the relationship.
Nowhere is this connection clearer than in sacred geometry, a key aspect of traditional Islamic art, and a subject for which Professor Keith Critchlow is a fervent advocate.
So that's just to touch on that. Now what we're going to do, having got to here, let's find out how the Muslims, in their genius, took the Pentagon apart into these pieces to enable them to do this extraordinary kind of decorative work that we see behind here and here and here. Okay, I shall strengthen my Pentagon up on here. The main thing is that the core of our teaching has always been geometry. Socrates said, geometry opens the eye of perception, the only eye we've got, a single eye which tells us what the truth is. Our fleshly eyes, all they do is distract us by the world we're in. So to recover one's wholeness, one's singularity, then the study of geometry is the key to it.
The school in Shoreditch did not long remain alone in its mission to nurture ancient skills. Thousands of miles away, His Royal Highness Prince Ghazi of Jordan, drawing on the experience of the Prince's School in London, created a new college of traditional art and architecture in the university town of Al Salt, near Amman.
Of course, we didn't have any craftsmen, and so, based upon the Prince of Wales's school, we decided that we must also do a school in Jordan dedicated to sacred Islamic art. Now, of course, sacred art is art based upon the principles of unity. It's not art by Muslims, it's art according to Islamic principles. And the only person in the world to have done that was, ironically, the Prince of Wales. And we got master craftsmen from Turkey, from Syria, from Egypt, from Morocco, from Indonesia, and so we created really, by the grace of God, a unique traditional Islamic art center here, and now we're exporting it. They want to set up a college in Lebanon, in Saudi Arabia, in Bahrain, in Egypt, and we're now exporting it and reintroducing traditional art into the Islamic world.
Together, these two centers of excellence are at last halting the loss of ancient knowledge and stimulating a rebirth of interest in traditional skills. It's a movement that goes beyond the boundaries of Islam to universal design principles.
Islam is far from being the only religion that uses sacred geometry in its art. In many ways, it's common to all religions. And this sacred geometry, this sacred art, is often used as an aid to contemplation, as a help with worship, but it's also to do with impressing people, with power and awe. It's wonderful, it's worshipful, but it's also a tiny bit scary. This sense of order and wonder has got a lot to do with the symmetries and proportions of what we're seeing or perceiving. It's like hearing a wonderful chord in music where all the elements are harmonious. And within nature itself there's a lot of balance and harmony, which has been a great inspiration for religious art across the ages, not least Islamic art.
Geometric art need not limit the imagination. The 13th century Alhambra in Granada demonstrates the heights to which it can soar. Masterpieces were built centuries ago. Would they be possible today? For the late King Hussein and his successor King Abdullah II, for whom the restoration of the Al-Aqsa Minbar was so important, the answer appeared to be no. For more than 20 years they had searched for someone able to produce workable designs. No one, even with the help of the most sophisticated computers, could crack Nur al-Din's complex Minbar code.
We did an international contest. We invited everybody in the world to participate. Nobody in the world was able to recreate the Minbar, which starts from a six-sided figure